Well, my mother was born in Australia. My father was born in Denmark. And the story is like he got a girl into trouble, so he jumped on a boat and travelled around and ended up in Australia. I remember being on a sugar farm. My father was cutting the trees down to plant sugar cane. We were cane farmers, lived in the country, rode horses to school. You know, we didn't have much in the house at all. There was no electricity in those days. But after I was married and had my child, electricity come into the town then, you see. Of course, my mother come over and she said, you'd be able to iron the baby's clothes and everything with electric iron. Yeah. Well, I was only telling my great-grandson about it the other day. I said he'd take a bite out of an apple and throw it away, and then and I said, well, look, when we were kiddies, my mother went to Brisbane, and we were home with friends while they had their trip, and my mother come back and she said that the kiddies were going through street garbage bins looking for food. I said, and here you are wasting it like that, you know. He just wasted his fruit. I said, we were always, plenty of it, but we were always made eat it properly. Yeah, at the dances we met, he was a cane cutter, which is unheard of nowadays. They come from south up to the North Queensland for the cane season every season. And that's how you used to meet all the young chaps when they come up for cane cutting. It wasn't a long courtship. He knew me long before I realised who he was or anything. And then when we really met, we married a couple of months after. That was taken 6 weeks after we were married. And my husband lived at a place called Harradine, and we had to go into Gympie to get a wedding photo taken. And that bunch of flowers is only it's all paper flowers. But quite a big wedding. I had my 2 sisters bridesmaids. Everybody in the town. It was a small country town. The church was only 2 doors away, and we went down to the dance hall to have the breakfast, and we danced. They danced there all night, but my husband and I, we caught the train. They used to call it the night horror. Everybody used to sneak out of town on this 12 o'clock train at night time. We caught the train at 12 o'clock that night, went down to my grandparents in Ayr. They lived in Ayr. Have you heard of Ayr? No, that's AYR. That's their honeymoon, yes. And we stopped there for a day or two and then travelled down to his people. We were in Silkwood, and we had to blacken all our windows. You'd hear the planes fly over at night time. So that's where we were all evacuated down south then. And then my family stopped down there. But me and my husband, we come back. I only had the one child because they had to have the men cutting the cane, you see, so he had to come back again. And that's how we got in with the union. So they said, well, now you're married, you'll take on the position of, I don't know what they called them, sort of for the cane cutters, you see. And he started off with the cane cutters, and then from there he ventured into being a union official for the Australian Workers' Union. Tasmania was in trouble, and they got this chap from Mount Isa to come down and manage the AWU, and he rang and got my husband to come down here. And my husband was used to good cane cutters, and he had to come down here and do sheep. Alan was 2, so what was it? He was born in 54, must have been 56, 57. We come to Tasmania on the 13th of November. I remember the day he flew down, like I was left behind with his mother come to stop with me, and I had the little fella and the eldest boy, and we caught the trip down, and I visited me relations on the way down to Melbourne and come across on the Taroona. And I was frightened of being seasick, and they told me to wrap the young baby, he was not quite 3, in brown paper so he wouldn't be sick. And the boss in Hobart said, we'll get you out of here as soon as possible. But I enjoyed Queenstown. That we had an AW house, and we rented that, and then the boss always thought we didn't like it, but I love Queenstown. It was very friendly. He was such an easy person to get on with, and he knew that I always went to his wherever he went with different things I went, and I was involved in what he was doing. My husband and I had just come back from Geneva from the International Labour Conference of the World. He represented the Australian Workers' Union, and they all seemed to think that my husband could have suffered from what they didn't know much about, was the clot in your legs from travelling. Yes. It was here we were, and he had this funny turn. I said, "You all right?" And he mumbled, "I'm all right," and I thought, "You're not." So I ran next door, there was another couple there then, and I said, "Will you come over and look after him?" Because he wanted to go to the toilet, and I knew if he got out of bed he'd fall. So I ran over there and said, "Look after him while I ring the doctor." And she said, "Don't wait for a doctor, I'll send the ambulance." He went in about 9:30 in the morning, and he died about 5 that afternoon. Yeah. Cerebral hemorrhage. Well, Brian Harradine, because he's gone, they were great friends, Barbara and Brian. I used to, after Bill died and that, I used to look after Barbara's kids to give Brian and Barbara a break. I used to have to entertain quite a few members of Parliament and everything like that. We were very friendly with Bob and Hazel Hawke. Well, Hazel was a funny person. She swore a lot, in which I don't do, but she used to swear a lot. But Bob was really a great sport. I've got a thing here that he signed. They were at the casino one time. Alan had to go because Alan was the secretary of the Australian, he was the electrical trade union boss, and he was there to represent them. And he went up to Hazel and he said to Hazel, "I believe you knew my mother." He said, "Who was that?" And he said, "Julie Kenny." "Oh, yes," she said. So then Bob wrote on the back of the menu, "To Julie, I have great memories of your husband," and signed Bob Hawke. I don't know where that is now. I must look it up.